So, welcome to today's practice. I am very thankful that you all are here to join in. I've been doing a little of my own home practice as part of these sessions, and part of that practice is pulling a card from this will be backwards in your screen, but the Animal Spirit Guidebook by Kim Krantz. Um, this is a deck of cards that I find. Um, Almost always has just the perfect answer, the perfect thing to focus on for the day. Um, and I've been pulling a card specifically for these classes just to help bring all the energy together. If you've been practicing with me for a while, you know that I often take from astrological alignments as well. And so it's interesting to me when the cards end up matching the astrology. Today we have an exact new moon, the darkest phase of the moon, in the sign of Taurus, the bull. And this alignment is Taurus is the earthiest of the earth signs, very grounded, very associated with the body, the tangible, the temporal. It's also ruled by Venus, which is beauty, art, love, creativity. And so there's these two sides to the Tauran energy, that we can be incredibly connected to the physical realm, being, right? Being instead of doing, that first chakra, that earthy energy of anchoring us through to the center of the earth. And at the same time, this lightness and this openness and the love emotion and the appreciation of the beautiful, the abundant. um, the shadow side of the Taurus can be that it is very heavy and stagnant. And when that's coupled with the darkness of the new moon, we can feel really dense and really heavy. Um, Instead of interpreting that intense grounding as negative, we can embrace it as this opportunity to see the darkness of the moon as the most fertile time to plant our seeds of intention. And when we come into an intention and really give it some focus and some devotion, that intention then is more likely to germinate into action. Um, the card that I pulled for today is the tiger, and the tiger is the lunar force in this deck. The ease in darkness and the root of feminine energy. Again, that dark, rich, new moon energy is very feminine. The tiger card says specifically that this card reminds us to take in the wild darkness, to allow the lunar forces to soothe and heal our spirits. Sensuality, receptivity, and devotion are all heightened in the midnight hour, and the tiger takes advantage of those boons. So we can take all of the chaos of the last couple weeks and months, and feel like, oh my God, is it ever going to end? We can come to this place of just like, oh, it's just now a dense place. Or we can see this moment as our opportunity to soothe, to bathe ourselves in the darkness and prepare for the rebirth, the opening, the unfurling, that germination. So I find that both compelling and soothing myself. All right. For our yoga practice, the physical aspect of Taurus is the neck and the throat. We're going to couple that with that energetic downward energy of rooting in the hips and the legs, but also use the throat, the chakra of truth and communication. We'll do a little more sound yoga, nada yoga today, to help clear that area. So periodically throughout your practice, I will prompt you to make some sound. Sometimes it will be an organic sound, coughing up, letting go. Thankfully, in this particular format of teaching, only you can hear you. You don't have to share that with the remainder of the class. So whether or not we're humming or oming, you make it your own. And again, if you need to cough, if you need to spit out some energetic gunk, please be my guest. Be sure to clear your space afterwards. All right, so finding your comfortable seat. Settling those thighs down, closing your eyes. Feeling the vibration of your heartbeat. Bones and muscles grow heavy for a moment, settling down past your mat, through the earth, anchoring to that core. And then, with the thighs heavy, tilting the tail upwards slightly, feeling the backbones ripple forward through the belly, finding a subtle back bend in the low back, and then hugging the navel through the organs to meet that curve. Imagining the side waistlines pulling in and the rib cage rising up off of the pelvis. The belly firming, front, sides, and back allows the breath to move into the rib cage, mobile, broadening, widening, lifting. Imagining that the breath can move into the back body, underneath the shoulder blades, the side body into the armpits, as well as the front body behind the sternum. Notice your hips. Have they started to grip? Can you release them and allow the inner thighs to soften, the outer thighs to roll back? Those might not be movements. Those can be imaginary, energetic releases. Imagine the breath coming up underneath the collarbones, the shoulders lifting half an inch, getting lighter. The space where the skull meets the neck spine, softening, the skull bobbling a bit on those neck bones. The breath creating spaciousness, a cushion between the head and the neck. As the roof of the mouth grows light, the crown rises upward and expands outward. Think about your ears getting wider, your temples broader, space between your eyes becoming more roomy. And then breathing into that extra space. Keeping the core body really stable, start to look over your left shoulder. Your eyes can remain closed. Notice how your neck moves. Don't try to force it. Just notice. Does it try to tip to one side or the other? Can you keep it upright, your neck on an axis as you rotate to the left? Again, not forcing, just noticing where resistance is. And then on an inhale, come back through center. On your exhale, turning slowly to the right, your heart and belly stay stable. No forcing, shoulders buoyant. Coming to a point of resistance, breathing in, making sure you're upright. Noticing resistance and opening. witnessing internally adaptations, counteractions, compensation. Inhaling, come through center. Exhale, gather the belly. Inhale, reach the arms up. Soften the head as you shrug one shoulder and then the other. Coming up, try to keep the head upright and move the shoulder blades separate from your spinal body. Soften the jaw. Notice the tendency as you shrug shoulders for your face to get hard and your head to pull down. Lift up at the same time with the base of the skull and then the alternating shoulders. And then both shoulders lift up. And then out to the side, shoulder height. And then hug the body. Left arm crosses over the right. Hands onto the shoulder blades. Walk the fingers closer to the spine. Fill up the back body with breath. Exhale, side bend to the left. Drop the left ear slightly onto shoulder. Inhale, come up. Exhale, right side bend through the ribs, right ear toward right shoulder. Inhale, standing, sitting up. And then point the fingers for the sky. Don't make the bind yet. Make your forearms parallel. That left elbow on top of the right. Cross them a little deeper if you can. Then cross the forearms. Don't take the bind yet. Use your muscles. Lift the elbows. Beautiful. And then unwind. Reaching up, palms to the sky. Soften the base of the skull. Exhale, push out to shoulder width. Inhale deep. And then exhale, right arm crosses over. Hands onto the shoulder blades. Walk the fingers a little closer to the spine. Soften the base of the neck and the base of the skull. Be there. Gather the breath into the back body, the side body. Exhale, right side bend, right ear towards shoulder. Inhale, upright. Exhale, left side bend, ear to shoulder. Inhale, upright. Cross those elbows, point the fingers to the sky. Parallel forearms. Don't let them cross yet. Use your muscles. If you can, cross a little bit deeper and then point the fingers across each other, crossing at the forearms and the wrists. Don't make the bind. Feel the cross, feel the muscles working and stretching simultaneously. Maybe lift the elbows to shoulder height, soften the base of the neck. And then inhale and exhale, release. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, reach out and down. Drop the chin, lift the shoulders. So the fingertips might hang instead of reaching the earth. The shoulders coming straight up, the head dropping forward. Feel the back neck get long. Gather in your navel. Don't let your chest drop down. Lift your sternum toward your chin even as chin drops down. Inhale, reach up. Look up. As you look up, think about the base of the neck moving back in space, not just rolling on the base of the skull. Think about the vocal cords pulling back, then tip the head up, as if the back of your neck could rest in the space between your shoulder blades slightly. We're not going very far. We're not going to a full 90 degrees, just about 40, 45 degrees. And then exhale, come back out and down. You'll come off any elevation that you have and maybe set that off to the side. Take one of your blankets in a thin layer across your mat. If you're working on carpet, this may or may not be necessary, but I have a bamboo mat underneath my black mat, so I like to protect those knees every time. As you're ready, the hands are wider than your armpits and ever so slightly in front of your shoulder. We don't want that wrist to be hyperextended with the wrist right under the shoulder joint. We want it to be ever so slightly in front, knees just under your hip joints, and then tilting the tail up and opening the heart. Pull the arms back in space, shoulders toward the spine. Again, not breaking the back of the neck. Keep the back neck long. Lift through the vocal cords to lengthen the crown. We'll be here in cow pose for a couple breaths. Find it in small ways. Take those breaths to refine. Point the elbows towards your thigh bones. Turn the hands out slightly as needed to accommodate that. Pull back through the upper arms and together with the shoulder blades. Feel the curving of the spine, but lift the belly to meet that curve. On your exhale, push with your feet. Drop the tail as low belly lifts, then upper belly, then push with the knuckles to press the ribs higher. And we're not just pushing back in space here. Try to keep your heart centered in the space between wrists and knees. Let the head go heavy and look left and right, holding cat pose for a couple breaths. The more you push with your knuckles, the more the ribs will activate up between the shoulder blades, and then the heavier you can let your head go. On your inhale, start with the upper body. Pull with the arms, then the shoulder blades. Then the tail and the crown rise as one unit. Exhale, start with the feet. Press down, ripple through the spine. Press the ribs up, let the head go. Inhale, pulling with the upper body, lengthening tail and crown. And then exhaling, cat pose. Press the earth away, feet heavy, knuckles heavy, heart light. 2 more rounds, cow and cat. Take a prayer pose. Hips back to heels, hands continuing to stretch out. Thinking about backward momentum through the tail, forward momentum through the crown. Wrap your elbows to point down, the bony point of your elbow trying to touch the earth. It probably won't make it, but that's where its effort goes. Feel the shoulder blades wrap around the armpits, the back neck long, third eye anchors to the earth. Inhale into your back body here. Allow the ribs and the back body around the shoulder blades, the base of the neck to expand. On an exhale, hum, hum. On your inhale, come forward, cow pose. Pull with those shoulders and arms, unfurling the heart. And then exhaling, pressing through cat back to prayer. Inhaling, pull forward, arching the heart spine, gathering the belly. And then exhaling, back to prayer. Maybe you inhale to your cow and then hum on your way back. Hum. Inhaling forward. Humming back. Hum. Inhale, come forward. This time the shoulders come past the wrists for that moment and then come down to the earth. You can move your blocks slightly forward. Your hands will be underneath your elbows, not underneath your shoulders, so make that adjustment. They're still wide and slightly turned out. That gives ease to the elbows pointing back. Bend your knees 90 degrees. Push the knees into the earth so that the pelvis is slightly light. Not so much that it lifts up off the ground, but just so much that your Glutes soften and your tailbone is light. Then lift your navel actively up toward your spine. You're not tucking the tail. You're lifting the tail ever so slightly and then meeting the spine with your belly. Pull back through the hands and forward through the sternum as if your sternum could kiss your chin. Drop your chin deep. Make sure your knees are heavy. Your arms are actively pulling back against the friction of your mat. You could almost slide across the floor. Your arms are pulling so much. Feel it in your triceps, the backs of the arms. And then lift through the vocal cords and lengthen through the crown. Back neck is long, throat is open. Inhale deep. Push the knees down. Hum. Inhale, long legs, knees stay heavy. Exhale, push down those knees and then come back, prayer pose. Keep the hands rooted, stretch out that upper back, third eye to the earth. Pause here, move your breath. Inhale, come forward. Stacking onto your table. Make any adjustments if you've stretched out a little. Inhale, take your right toes back, tucked, foot long and at hips width. Left foot comes off the edge of your mat like a kickstand. Pivot on your right big toe so that the foot goes flat. The foot does not slide across the mat, it just pivots. And then right hand to the sky, supported side plank. Making sure that that left knee is directly under the hip and right hand is directly over the heart. Don't let it slide back into the twist. Be light, push the feet down, push the hand down, open the heart, drop the left ear, and then look down. And then look up. Inhale, turn that hand to reach on your exhale, stretching side body. From pinky toe, rooted on the mat, to pinky finger, rotating toward the earth. Feel that tricep, that back of your arm, come closer to your cheekbone, so it's like your shoulder blade is wrapping around your armpit. Inhale here. Exhale, bend your right knee, lifting the foot. Bring it to the top of your mat at hips width or wider, and then hands come onto your blocks. You're in a low lunge. High blocks, stacking your books or your boxes as you need to. We're not just coming forward into the pelvis, into that gravitational hammock. Instead, we're pulling our back knee forward, firing hip flexors. Pull your front heel back. Feel that scissoring together underneath your pelvis, getting light on your fingertips. Blocks or books really framing your ankle. Gather the belly, lift through the tail, and then open the heart. Think about shoulder blades pulling back. Be there. Thigh bones pulling together underneath you. Find the breath. Lengthen up through the roof of the mouth. Inhale, lift your front toes. It's hard to see. And then exhale, push with the heel. Right hip crease coming back. Don't allow your left hip to swing off the edge of the mat. Hug it in, stacked over the knee. The front leg may not come totally straight this first time. Inhale, bring it forward. Lift through the tail, gather the belly, lift through the heart. Exhale, pressing through the heel. Hips go back, keep the heart extended, don't collapse. Inhale, come forward into the lunge, pulling the knee and the heel together underneath you, lift the heart higher. Exhale, push with the heel, keep the heart high, move blocks back as needed. Straight front leg, half flying monkey. Push down through the left foot. Pull back through the right hip crease. Pull in through the left hip. Those movements will all, to some extent, oppose one another and make this a little bit more work at first. But being at your center, being on your axis, this is going to isolate movement into just the muscles that you need to unwind. Make sure your right foot is active, left foot is heavy. On your inhale, pull with that front heel, lifting up the heart. Move your blocks forward. Take the knee back. And hands find your mat. Wrists just in front of your shoulders. Inhale to a cow pose. Exhale to a cat pose. And then a prayer pose. Notice any differences in the two sides. Asymmetry is real. Let your forehead come down, your back neck be long. And then inhale, coming forward, table pose. Second side, left toes tuck, long leg, hips width. Right foot comes off the edge of your mat like a kickstand, pushing down. Left toe pivots so the foot is flat, and then left hand to the sky. Trying really hard not to just shove the pelvis forward and cranking in that right SI joint. Try to keep the tail in that neutral, pulling back, almost like a back bend. Left hand directly over your heart. Keep the ribs pulled in a little bit like cat. Pushing both the feet and the right knuckles into the earth to get light. Inhale, turn top hand toward the front of your mat, and then exhale, reach. Stretch from that back pinky toe to the pinky finger. Roll that pinky finger toward the earth, wrapping your triceps toward your cheekbones, wrapping your shoulder blade around your armpit, getting long. Inhale here, and then exhale, lifting left foot, bending knee, bring it forward, top of your mat, find your stacks, frame the front foot. Take your time. This is more of a hatha class than a real flow, so take your time while we open up especially, okay? Again, pulling the back knee forward, feeling hip flexors engage. Pull the front shin and heel backward. Feel those hamstrings engage. Feel your whole body hugging together underneath you, and that gives you lift. Come onto your fingertips, lifting through the tail, the belly, the heart, lifting sternum toward chin, back neck long. Be in the action. This is less about doing than it is about being, that earth connection. While also activating in such a way that we don't just surrender completely to the whims of the world, right? We have some volition here. Lifting those front toes, maybe the blocks slide back slightly, pushing through that left heel. Keep the heart lifted. Start to pull that left hip crease back in space. Notice the tendency for right hip to swing off the edge of the mat. Hug it in, keep it directly over your knee, and then maybe front leg does not come fully straight this first time. Inhale, come forward, pull with the heel and the knee, lifting up, unfurling the heart spine, shoulders back, back neck long. Maybe you have a little bit more height there. And then exhale, hinge, stretching out back channel. Whew, get it long, active left foot. Inhale, pull forward, reaching up through the heart. And then exhaling, pressing back, half flying monkey, moving blocks back as needed to get as straight as is possible in that left knee. It's not about forcing it. Push down through your right foot, lift up through your tail, your belly, and your sternum. Back neck is long. Back body really active, even as we're lengthening the back body. Make a noise, let it go. We're digging deep into some hip stuff here. It likes to hang on to a lot of our emotional pocket lint. So let it go. Pa. Inhale, pull forward, walking the blocks or stacks forward. Take your time. And then taking the knee back in space, table pose. And then when you're ready, a cow, inhaling, and a cat, back to prayer. Settle in for 3 to 5 breaths here. Maybe you sway the hips slightly, guiding your breath through the back body, the legs, the thighs, the hips, the low back, the upper back. Come forward, inhaling. Let your shoulders come past the wrists. Keep the tail lifted slightly as you bend, elbows come to the earth. Wrists are under your elbows. Pull into your cobra. Knees heavy, belly lifts. Don't clench your glutes. Think about shoulders coming to the spine, hands moving toward thighs, and sternum moving toward chin. Drop the chin. And then lift the throat to lengthen the back neck. Reaching out through the crown. Inhale here. Exhale, push through those knees to lift the hips. And then press it back, prayer pose. Inhale, come forward. You may go without your blocks for this one, just for ease. Be kind, okay? Right leg reaches back, left foot makes the kickstand, right foot flat, right hand to the sky, open up, inhale. Exhale, reach down into the stretch. Inhale, reach for the sky, lift the knee, bend it. Exhale, press it forward into the lunge. Hands can come to the knee or up, crescent lunge. Exhale, hands can come to blocks or fingertips, straightening the thigh. Inhale, pull it up, reach for the sky, crescent. Lift through the sternum and through the shoulders. Exhale, take it back. Inhale, one more, reaching forward and up. Exhale, press back. Hug your midline, don't sweep your hips one way or the other. Inhale, reach hands forward and take the knee back. Exhale, come to the earth. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, press back, prayer. Inhale toward your table, lengthen out that left leg, kickstand, left hand to the sky. Make that all one long breath. Exhale, stretch. Inhale, reach for the sky, bend the knee toward the heart. Exhale, sweep it around. And then inhale, find the crescent lunge, pulling the thighs together underneath you, reaching the tail, the heart up. We're not just sagging here, we're containing. Exhale, push through that heel, hips back, heart forward, fingertips down. Inhale, pull with that front heel, reaching up, ripple through the spine, wrap the elbows and the shoulder blades. Exhale, push, go slow. Blocks are an option here. Inhale, last time, coming up, reach up. Exhale, push through. Hands shift forward, knee comes back, inhale. Exhale, shifting forward and down. Inhale, baby cobra, take your time. Float there for a moment, and then exhale, push up with the knees and the hands. Bend back, prayer pose. This time, take your hands back by your shins for a child's pose, allowing the shoulders to shrug forward toward your ears, and then elbows slack, shoulders slack, everything falls around your rib cage toward the earth. Back, neck long, supported by your throat, lifting gently. If you'd like, you can interweave the fingers, the low back. Knuckle to knuckle, but leave some space between your palms. Keep the shoulders shrugged. Don't just like squeeze them back and lock out the elbows. Instead, keep the shoulders shrugged forward and then begin to lift the knuckles off of the low back. It'll go little by little. Shrug more. Drop the collarbones toward the floor and then lift the knuckles up. Keep the throat active, really hugging the throat up into the neck spine so back neck is long. Releasing the hands back down. Release the bind, child's pose. And then reaching forward. Coming on to all fours. Take that right foot back, familiar territory. Right hand to the sky, supported side plank. Exhale, stretch the side body. Inhale, reaching up, bending the knee toward the heart, and then rotating, place it there for the lunge. Inhale, crescent lunge. Okay, we're changing it up. Take that back foot across your midline, okay, and then open your heart for a modified warrior two. So we're down on that back shin, we're pulling with that front heel, okay? And then left hand comes to the hip and heart reaches up, modified exaltation. Push this hip into your hand slightly, don't just collapse into that thigh. Pulling toward midline, but keeping hip upright. Inhale deep, and then exhale, side waist comes over, arm inside, modified side angle. And then come down. Walking your right foot out to the side, back foot comes neutral behind the knee. So your hands are wide in between, inside that ankle for a lizard pose. Blocks are available here for you. I like to turn my toes out to the side a little bit, but I'm still hugging that right hip in. I'm trying to keep this left side really on axis and not janking off to one side or the other. Try to stay on the axis. And even here, I'm pulling slightly with my back knee and pulling slightly with my front heel. Lifting the tail, gathering the belly, and lengthening the heart toward my chin. I'm tucking my chin ever so slightly, like a micrometer, lifting through the vocal cords to keep the back neck long. Maybe we hum here. Inhale deep. Hum. Hum is the seed sound of the throat chakra. If you feel the need, you might come down lower. If you have blocks, you might come onto your forearms. I urge you, though, only to come low if you can come equally onto both elbows. If you're like on the left and the right is really light, stay high. Work the length and strength here from a really supported place. Notice. When you're ready, come up higher, sit back a little, take that knee back around, make your table. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. And back to prayer. As you're ready, inhaling, second side. Left toes back, right foot out, and left hand to the sky, side plank. Inhale here, then your exhale stretches you out. Inhale, reach for the sky, lift the knee to the heart. Exhale, slide around to the lunge. Inhale, reach up, crescent lunge. Take your time. And then that back foot crosses the midline and you open up the heart space to warrior two. Now here, I'm not trying to pull my pelvis into that pure openness as my knee would come in across me. I don't want that. I want my knee to stay over my ankle, so my pelvis may only rotate 40 degrees, and then my heart continues the twist. Pulling back through that front heel, pushing down through my right shin. Right hand comes down to my hip, and then I reach up. Side bend. Pushing my pelvis into that back hand slightly. Not so much that I collapse, but just giving a little effort that way, even as my heel pulls me toward it. Lots of dynamism in here. And then exhaling, hinge in that front hip, sideways on your thigh, hand inside, right hand up, modified side angle. Again, don't let that arm just drift back behind you. Integrate it from your heart out through your collarbone. Find your breath. Take the hand down. Both hands are inside left ankle as it walks out a little wider. Toes may point out. Right hip stays in line with my waist and my knee. And then I'm pulling back with the front heel. I'm pulling forward with my back knee. I'm lifting my heart, my belly, and my tail as I come into lizard. Now, if you don't have blocks, be on your fingertips here at first. We're not just collapsing into gravity, right? We're trying to keep the pelvis level. Our hips moving forward at the same rate, left and right. And then if you can come down in inches. If you have your stack of blankets, maybe you take your forearms to the blankets instead of all the way to the earth. Lifting through the belly, lengthening through the back neck. Try not to drop down. Be long. Lift the vocal cords to keep the back neck long. Maybe you look left and right. And again, inhale deep. Exhale, hum. Coming back up, walking the hands in slightly, take that foot back and around, table pose. Inhale to a cow, take your time, don't rush. Exhale, cat. Back to prayer. And then hands back by your shins for child's pose. Now play around here even. Like there's this shrugging of the shoulders and letting them fall toward your chest. Let that upper heart get really round. Your vocal cords can lift up to keep the back neck from collapsing under their weight. Let your arms go slack and heavy. Soften your jaw. Rock on your third eye. Connect that sense of upper chakra, upper anatomy, down to the pelvis that is pulling back and rooting. How can our upper elements be related to and not separate from our lower, heavier, anchored elements? If you'd like, from here, you reach your hands back. You're still in your child's pose, but your hands come to your low back. You interweave your fingers knuckle to knuckle, but you don't close the palms. You leave the heels of the hands wide. Then you shrug the shoulders even more. Instead of rolling them back toward the spine, lift them and let them spread over the top of your rib cage. And that will automatically add extension energy, lifting energy to the arms and the hands. And you can continue to lift up. If from there you'd like to add on, you can gather the belly like cat. You can roll from the third eye toward, but not quite to, the center of the crown, lifting the ribs and the belly. The hips rise off of the heels. Heels grip the midline and the earth. Again, think about the shoulders coming toward the earth, wrapping over the ribs toward your thigh bones, and then let the wrists and the knuckles travel forward. Keeping the back neck long without collapsing. Lifting the belly. And then keeping the arms lifted as you bring the hips back down. And then taking the hands down. And then releasing the bind, shrugging and releasing toward the earth. Be held. Be cradled. Make an offering of your breath to that child's pose. Now is the time to surrender. Reaching the hands forward into your prayer pose. Come up into table. Walk your knees closer to and even between your hands as you find yourself moving onto your back body. If you have blocks, have them handy. You can also have a folded blanket or bolster next to you. Just have it within reach so that you can literally, once you're on your back, you can reach it immediately. You don't have to go reaching across the floor for it. When you're on your back, your knees are bent, feet flat to the floor. You don't want your heels all the way up to your thighs. You really want the shin bones upright, so heels are directly under knees at hips width. The pelvis is broad. The heart is broad. Elbows come down by your ribs. I like to bend them 90 degrees so I can really feel my elbows push into the earth, so that then I can tuck my shoulder blades toward my spine without anchoring them down toward the pelvis. I want them to be a little slack up at the top of the shoulders. So a little shrug is appropriate. And then I pull my tail toward my rib cage, my heart spine. I don't want to tuck my tail and press my low back bones into the earth. I want the opposite. I want to feel that low back bend already make itself known before we lift off the earth. Inhale here, anchor the elbows, the shoulder blades, the outer heels, and the big toe root. Turn your feet out slightly if you need to get that big toe root anchored. Inhale, gather your belly around its curve, and then exhale, push down, heels, elbows, shoulders. Head is just about a ½ pound heavier than normal. And you can straighten out your arms if it feels appropriate. Don't try to make them narrow. Let them go where they naturally go wide. But keep the elbows heavy. We don't want them to lift up. Imagine a strap under your low back so that the tail is almost falling off that strap. Then lift your heart toward your chin instead of lifting the pelvis. The pelvis will come along for the ride. Keep the back neck long without collapsing all the way to the earth. Imagine pulling the base of the skull toward your heart just a ½ inch. Soften your jaw, your ears, your eyes. Pull your heels towards your shoulders. And then lift your thighs, but let the pelvis come along for the ride. Don't clench the glutes around the tail. Don't try to let the
pubic bone do the leading. Feel the coil around your kidneys and behind your heart. Get long from your knees to the pit of your throat. Soften into your breath. On an inhale, tap your tail to the ground. Don't let your low back touch down. Just the tip of the tail. And then exhale, lift back up. And then inhale, tap. And then exhale, lift. And then inhale, tap. And exhale, come up. Grab your block. Take it to its low setting and set your pelvis on it. Not so the block is into your low back. Remember, this could be a blanket, a stack of folded blankets. Just a little bit of elevation here. Keep the pressure of your tail down through the block so that your back spine is really active. Shoulders hug the spine and press down to the mat all at once. Walk your feet to the midline. Gather your belly. Come onto your tiptoes. Stack knees over your hips. Try to make the toes leave the earth at the exact same time. Flex ankles to 90 degrees, knees to 90 degrees, hips to 90 degrees. So you're in this reclined chair pose. Be here. Inhale. Keep the back bend. Pull down through the tail as you push up through the heels. Inhale, bend. Exhale, press. Inhale, bend. Exhale, press. Inhale, bend. Exhale, push up and stay. Keep that back body really active. Elbows could be bent here, remember, so that you can really feel the upper extremity help support the heart. Gathering the navel without collapsing the low back. If you'd like to up the ante here, you can take one ankle forward. Don't let it touch the ground. Just let it come to the hip height and then come up. And then nothing changing in the spine. Go really slow. Full inhale up. Long exhale down. Inhaling up. Feel your low back really anchoring you. And inhale up. Bend the knees. Bring the knees and the hands together. Now the block may slip a little here, so you may have to hold it with your hands, but allow the low back to round now. Let the knees come wide. Maybe you massage those SI joints, the top of the hips on the block or your bolster. And you can do one of two things here. You can take your feet back to the earth and be in this nice supported bridge pose. You might turn the block to the higher level, or you'll hold your block in place and push down through those elbows, pulling the knees towards you and then extending the feet past you. If you're here, this is a version of a supported shoulder stand. If you'd like, you can take your elbows into the earth, gather in your belly, and push the feet farther, lifting hips off of your block for a plow pose. If you do that, be very slow and conscientious. Shrug your shoulders. Keep your legs straight. If your toes reach the earth, imagine a back bend happening here to lift up the hips. Maybe you wiggle your shoulders a little closer. If you'd like, bend the elbows, hands come to the low back, bend the knees, hover here, pressing your chest toward your chin, and then taking the knees over the hips, and then straightening the knees. Take that very slow, push down through your elbows, send your chest toward your chin, and your hips toward your block. When you're ready, bend the knees, bring them down to the chest. Take the hands to the earth or to your block. Slowly roll down. Hips find the block. Legs up the wall. Everybody meet there. Take your time. Your pelvis heavy on your block, your back body active. Bend the knees, 2 full breaths to take the toes to the earth. Feet go to hips width. Lift the pelvis, bridge pose. Move the block, come to the earth. Walk the feet together and the knees out, bound angle. Reach the arms overhead and get long, shrug the shoulders, then let everything surrender, heavy. 5 full breath cycles. Hum. Hum. All right, taking the knees back up and the feet wide. Keep walking the feet at least as wide as your mat, maybe a little wider. Let the feet come forward of your knees slightly here. The arms might come out to the side or make cactus arms, whatever comes most naturally and organically to you. Inhale fully, gather the belly gently. And then exhale, drop both thighs, both knees over to the right, really heavy. Let the right thigh get very heavy. Let the left thigh get very heavy. Maybe you turn your gaze to the left. Maybe you gently rock your head left and right. This is a very gentle version of nerve flossing as you rotate the upper end of the spine while the lower end of that nerve system is under some tension. Adding tension and removing tension through the rotation. Even though sensation is not the greatest identifier of whether we're where we need to be, in this position it's pretty safe. If you need a little extra oomph through that left hip and thigh, walk your foot away from the edge of your mat slightly so that your knee is going wider toward the edge of the mat. And then pause. Don't move it a huge amount, move a little bit at a time. Don't just go to the place of strongest sensation. Come back out of that and then be there, just out inside your edge. And notice what happens over time. Allowing your breath to become your flow. If you'd like, continuing the rocking gently of the head. Noticing sensation connections from that left foot and ankle all the way through the leg to the knee, up the thigh to the hip and into the belly, the low back. If sensation does not travel all that way, move your attention to the place where it stops and imagine it moving through. If there's any pinching in that left knee, move your foot toward the end of your mat, away from you. Make the angle of your knee a little bigger. Let your left foot go soft. And then when you're ready, walk that foot back toward the midline just a bit, coming to that wide neutral, and then coming up through center. Pause here, feet flat on the ground. Notice. Notice the two sides. Notice the thrum of your heartbeat, your pulse. Notice how prana moves. Notice sensation. And then on an exhale, letting the knees, the thighs roll over to the left. This is much more about the hip and thigh than it is about the low back. We're not trying to get a deep low back stretch here. We're keeping those feet and knees wide so that it's subtle in the low back. We don't want to increase the rotation in the low back too much. Let that left thigh go completely heavy, and then the right. Breathing into sensation or lack of sensation. Be okay with it just feeling a little blah for now. And then gently start the rotation of the head. And then after 3 to 5 breaths, if you still need to up the ante, if you still need to add a little hot sauce to this meal, then you will move the foot out a little wider. But don't push it. Don't go all the way to that highest sensation. Because the longer you're here, the more things will adapt and release and let down into more sensation. So you want to just kind of come just inside your edge, or even quite inside your edge, and allow this somewhat passivity to move things on your behalf. This is the kind of place where action is evident, but it is minimal. Notice the connections between the ankle and the knee and the hip. Trace with your mind's eye. And you bring your awareness all the way through that system into the belly and the low back. Four more long breath cycles. On your next inhale, walking that foot back toward the edge of your mat slightly, coming up, wide, neutral. Be there, feet flat on the floor. Notice. And then walking the feet together. Pull the shins and the thighs toward the heart. Let them go wide and rock. Gentle massage on the low back and the tops of the hips. Keeping the knees wide, reach your hands in between your thighs and walk them to the shins and then down toward your ankles. Not all the way to the feet, just to the ankles. Let the knees go totally slack, the heels totally heavy. Let the thighs go as wide as they can. Broaden the chest and then let everything go. Everything except the fingers holding your ankles. Shoulders, neck, belly, back, hips, knees, ankles, everything slack except those fingers. Be heavy in space. Don't worry about balance. Don't worry about one side opening more than the other. Right now, just be. Imagine that dark moon, heavy and dense, sitting on your belly, helping to weight you down, merging through the earth to its core. Imagine a pleasantness in that heaviness, a surrender and a release, a perception that this is the beginning, that you are the seed being planted. That all around you is the richness, the nutrition, everything you need to germinate, to crack open, to unfurl. To breathe freely, to sing loudly, to dance openly, to soak in the sun and the rain, to eat up all of the deliciousness around you. This is your moment where it all begins. As you're ready, flex the feet and roll out the ankles. Bring the knees together. On an inhale, hug the nose toward the knees. And then relax back down. Pause. And then set up the Shavasana of your choice. You may just extend your legs as you are. You may take them wide like the mat and the arms, shoulders shrugging, arms out in their natural place. They don't need to hug the body. Let everything go toward the earth in its most organic fashion. If you'd like a little more support in this, you could take your blankets or bolster underneath your knees. You might take the blocks underneath the ankles as well. You could sit up and lay back on your bolster. Yogis, you have choices. Be in the place that serves the moment, serves your breath, your surrender, your absorption of this practice. Allow yourself to descend, just as you did a moment ago in that cosmic egg shape. Now, you can let your thoughts go, your intention go. Now you can receive. Now you can be cradled with the earth.
Trusting her to protect you. Knowing that she will allow in only the good, the kind, the true, and the beautiful. All that you are, the good, the kind, the beautiful, and the true. And now returning to your strength, wrapping your bones with your muscles, coming back to your breath, your movement. Slowly curling in on your center, knees toward chest, nose toward knees. You can roll onto one side. Breathing in through the navel portal to every cell. Breathing out the points of the back spine. And coming to the seat of your choice. Cleansed, toned, receptive, expressive. Allowing your thighs to have downward momentum, your tail to have upward momentum. Low back forward, belly backward. Heart expansive. Crown rising, connecting. Turning palms up. Into your palms, please accept the light of my gratitude. Let them fill to overflowing. Soak up this sweet nectar through the channels of your arms and into the center of your heart. Let it merge with the light of your heart center. Light that is endless in its abundance, boundaryless in its expression. A light that is yours, your truth. Speak it. Bind your palms together at your heart center, bow in. From my heart to your heart, my light through your light. Namaste. Grazie mille, yogis. May you move forward with clarity, compassion, grace, and devotion. I appreciate you being here. Shortly, I will take a moment and unmute everyone. And if you'd like to stick around, if you have any questions, you can hang out for that little post-class chat. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you. If you would like to donate for these classes, you can. There's zero expectation there's no expectation of that. But if you'd like to, my Venmo is at Richelle-Ricard, and my PayPal is Richelle@unitytherapeutic.com. I appreciate you. Check out yogaengineer.com as well. I'll be posting some interesting conversations with some yoga teachers soon. So yeah, we're getting out there. So I appreciate you so much. Have a wonderful day.